No. You
Don't
can stop.
Ever!
Guys, stop it!
Stick your nails in me!
You guys, stop! Courtney! You guys, stop it! Don't do that to each other! Are you guys okay? What on earth?
1 minute they're laughing, the next minute they're slapping each other. Like, what the is happening? This is crazy.
Hello, gentle viewers. Welcome to another episode of Ancestor Reviews It. And today I'm going to be talking about my least favorite popular books. Okay, so I want to emphasize that these are my least favorite. And some of these I actually like them, but they're just not, they just didn't meet, for me, the hype that people put out for them when they talk about them. So without further ado, well, actually, let me explain that the reason why everything is kind of messed up right now is because me and my husband set up for a Buffy live. We set up for a Buffy live show with Slarefest 98 a couple days ago, and I haven't bothered to move everything back. So in my background is a bunch of our Buffy memorabilia. That's a memorabilia. Anyways, so I didn't put these in any specific order, but I guess as I talk about them, you'll kind of get what I don't like about these or what just didn't work for me. So the first one I'm going to talk about is City of Bones, part of the Immortal Instruments series by Cassandra Clare. So I remember getting this book when I was younger and being super excited to start it. I had just come off of Twilight. I really love Twilight, and like anything that had something similar, something fantastical, but it was YA, very YA, that I can like sink my teeth into. I was very about it, and this was very new to me. But one thing I didn't like it, and that it might be a spoiler alert. I don't think it's a spoiler alert. But there is a are they lovers or are they siblings trope in this book, and I just could not get behind that. It just made me feel super uncomfortable reading it, and I was like, I know they'll probably end up not being actual lovers, but this is just gonna make this entire thing super awkward, and I felt awkward as a reader reading it, and it just didn't feel right. So I put it down, and it just turned off the series for me entirely. And I know that Cassandra Clare, has been incredibly successful, so yay to her in these books. But I think that some people have certain tropes or certain things for some books that just turn them off. And for me, that are they lovers or are they siblings was that branch that broke my reading of that series. My next one, I'm not sure if this will be controversial, but a lot of people know that I'm not the biggest fan of the Hunger Games. I read all 3 books. I liked them. I feel like as I was reading all the books, I kept on expecting Katniss to be a badass, but she was never a badass. She never actually, in my opinion, stepped up to the plate and did something, when she definitely had maybe the ability, but definitely the platform to do something. Most of her, I believe, this is my own opinion, but most of her accomplishments were either self-motivated, aka selfish, or were actually not accomplished by her, but other people around her. Plus, who watches that and is like, oh my gosh, Katniss is actually more motivated than Peeta? It just doesn't make sense. Anyways, next, I have Sons of Destiny. It's part of the Cirque du Freak series by Darren Shan. When I was a kid, and this might even still be true, this was, maybe still is, my favorite series of all time. It was amazing. Darren Shan wove this amazing world with vampires and their culture, and it was just, I always feel like vampire lore is always very specific to whoever's writing about it, whoever's creating it. Vampires for Buffy is different than Vampires for like a normal like Dracula novel, or for Blade, or for Cirque du Freak, for example. Well, let's not even mention how bad the actual movie was, but the last book was even worse. The last book for me just, oh my goodness. It was, in my opinion, I'm not even going to give spoilers right now, but I just want you guys to know that this was the worst way I think you can possibly end a series. And I know other people have ended it this way, and it's never worked. I don't think this has ever worked in ending a series. And I think it's a coward's way out, and it's a way just not to like, I think it's a coward's way out. It was just completely ridiculous. It was completely ridiculous. And if you want to know why I hated it so much, well, one, you can probably read some reviews. I might have even wrote a review on Goodreads. And you can see why people may have disliked it. Some people even liked it still, but it was, it was bad. Anyways, next one was A Torch Against the Night from An Ember in the Ashes series by Sabaa Tahir. So I liked An Ember in the Ashes series enough to, I liked the book enough to continue with the series with the second one. I was like, you know what, these characters, they're still learning the ropes, they'll understand better in the next one, the kind of sacrifices they have to make, or what they have to do to accomplish their goals. But no, that did not happen. These characters did not grow. These characters stayed completely, reluctantly rooted in place, and there was no growth whatsoever, and that killed me. If I can't see growth from one book to another, especially with a book, with a fantasy book, a fantasy YA, that's young adult. That means they're growing. They're still coming of age. If I can't see that kind of growth, I'm just not gonna. That's gonna be a definite down for me. Yeah. So that was my issue with that book. Next one is Throne of Glass, the first one, because I never got through the rest, by Sarah J. Maas. And I know Sarah J. Maas, just like Cassandra Clare, has had an amazing career, especially writing YA novels. But what bothered me, and I think it's more of a personal preference than anything else, was that the main character, this assassin, she was kind of a Mary Sue. Is that the right term? Mary Sue, where she was just good about everything, but she was just good at everything. She was supposed to be like a super assassin who could kill everybody, but also like super beautiful at the same time. But the author tells you this, but I don't feel like, especially with the super assassin thing, that she makes good on what she's talking about, because it's all talk. It's almost all talk. And I've heard that there's more action in the later books and that it gets better, but this book is all talk, and it's all talk, and it seems less focused on the actual action, the actual plot of the book, and more focused on the romances in the book. And that's fine. I like it. I sometimes like a good romance in a book, but when it takes center stage over the actual plot, when it takes center stage over the lives and deaths of other people, it kind of puts a sour taste in my mouth. So that was my issue with that book. But yeah, let me know if, yeah, that was it. Next one was Divergent by Veronica Roth. Honestly, I blame like the Hunger Games and I blame all the other YA series why I didn't like this one at the time, because I think that they published a book that was much like other books, and at that point I was full. I was very full of that. I was very full of that flavor of book, that genre of book, that very specific genre of book. Not only that, I thought that with Divergent, with their different group systems that they had, it just didn't make sense for a functioning society, and that you're gonna die if you have several attributes, and that puts everybody in danger. It wasn't a stable plot. It wasn't a stable plot. It just didn't make sense. And it also sank really in. It just didn't make sense. My last is A Prince of Thorns by Mark Lawrence. So I actually love the book of the Ancestor series by Mark Lawrence. I loved it. So I was like, you know what? This is one of his first books, and it's super praised, and I'm going to read it. And I know that it's what do they call it? Oh, and I know that it's grimdark fantasy, and I have no issue with grimdark fantasy, but I do have issue with this book. It's actually a good book. It's well written. It's well written. It has a good plot. It has cool twists and turns. The only issue is the main character, Jorg, who just he doesn't care about any of the characters in the book. And because he doesn't care about any of the characters, I don't care about any of the characters. And if there's nothing for me to latch onto from one book to the next, I'm not going to. So, and plus he himself is an unlikable character. There's other grimdark books where, yeah, you might be doing bad stuff, but that doesn't mean that you're exactly unlikable. But he was, at least in this first book, definitely unlikable. So I still liked the book, but I wasn't going to continue on to the next one. Please let me know if you guys have continued on these series or have a different opinion about this. Keep in mind, a lot of these I read many years ago. So maybe if I picked them back up, I'd feel differently now. Please let me know if you've read them. I feel like right now it seems like I'm picking on YA itself as a genre, but I actually love YA. I loved Twilight. I loved The Uglies by Scott Westerfield. I even loved the House of Night series by PC Cast, and that was super YA. I like YA, but it just sometimes I feel like people cut corners in terms of characters, and I just don't like that. I just don't like to see that. I read books I want to say mostly for the characters, and these characters become my friends in the books, and I want them to do well. But if I like read a book and I'm like, I don't think I would actually want to hang out with you, I might also not hang out with you and put you down. So that's where I'm at on that one. Wow, I feel like this was it felt really negative towards the end, but I have no ill will towards any of these books, and I know that they have a huge following, and I can see why, but I have my reasons for not enjoying them as much as other people have. So that was my video. Catch me next time on this channel. Please like, subscribe, and all that jazz. Adios.